Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LTG show. This is episode number 225. My name is Sean Wilburn.
I'm Tony Hannity.
And I'm Andrew Lee.
And we are here to talk about the latest technology of the week. And, well, we are part of a website that is called Lazy Tech Guys. If you haven't already done so, we would greatly appreciate if you would jump over to lazytechguys.com. You get the latest tech news, information, and quite a bit other things, including reviews of gear, gadgets, and about all kind of stuff that we tend to use on a daily basis. So you'll find a lot of fun information there. So it's lazytechguys.com. Now, if you want to email us, you can email us at comments@lazytechguys.com, or you can give us a call at area code 707-722-5299, which also is 722-LAZY. Now, this is a live broadcast that we record on Tuesday nights, 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on the Google Hangout. So, if you happen to be up and about around that time, you would like to watch a live show, you're welcome to join us. Also, this show, the Q&A is open, so you're welcome to join in, throw questions our way, and we will ask them, address them, and, well, have fun with you, and you guys talk with us, and we'll be having a great conversation. So we'd love for you to participate in the show. Now, today we're going to talk a lot about the big news announcements for the week, which include the Apple Watch and the new MacBook, quite a few other things also going on, but before we do so, let's start with seeing how everybody's doing. Andrew, how are you doing today, man?
What's going on, man? Doing all right. You know, just trying to make it through the week for the most part. Just doing the daily grind.
It's like we went to a repeat of last week.
A little bit. Just been trying to catch up on some gaming, too. So.
What have you been catching up on?
Well, since they announced the new Final Fantasy XIV expansion, an actual release date, you know, just trying to catch up on the little tidbit grinding stuff of an MMO. You know, just the usual stuff.
Awesome. Tony, how you doing, man?
Things are good over here, man.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Yep, that's it, Tony. There you go.
That's it. The show's over.
Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. You know, it's great. Things are great for telling us all that matters here.
How you doing, Sean?
Surviving, living. What is that? Something about a daily grind. I'm just kidding. No, no, I'm going through it. I think if you guys remember last year, I'm going through it. I mean, this might have happened last year, but it's happening again this year. Got another apartment search to look for.
Oh,
rent's going up about $175. Ooh, yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah, so, hey, if there's anyone out here who happens to live in the Roanoke Park, Sebastopol area and have an apartment that's less than, I don't know, that's reasonable, like less than 1,100 or less than, that'd be great. Because, you know, shoot me a letter. Tell me something.
How are you with roommates?
I prefer not to.
Okay. All right.
I'm allowed. No, it's just that I have too much stuff, and it.
Yeah, and
when you're my age,
personal stuff too.
When you're my age, you're an older person. After you've done it for a while, it's kind of. Yeah. But hey, if anyone knows anything, throw me a thing. But yeah, besides that, everything is good. Technology is great. Thinking about getting a new watch. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. But, you know, there was a new one that was talked about amongst quite a few other things going on. But let's first talk about the HBO, the Apple event. So, many different things they announced. The Apple Watch was one. We'll talk about that in a minute. The new MacBook is another. We'll talk about that in a moment. Even this medical research site, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Hang on. Let's first begin, and let's talk about HBO Go. This is got announced that it is coming exclusively for Apple TV. Tony, what do we have going on?
Actually, so those two statements are wrong. It's
you're right, not HBO Go.
Now.
You know what's funny is I put a note here that says, remember HBO Go, talk about that, and I was looking at that statement.
And it's in bold letters, too.
Yeah, exactly.
So at the Apple event yesterday in San Francisco, California, the CEO, Richard good old Richie.
Richie P.
Richie P. He got on stage in his very suave, kind of tan, double button-down shirt, like he just got on a Miami Vice kind of look. Got on stage and officially announced the next kind of cord-cutting Valhalla experience called HBO Now. Up until now. If you wanted to watch HBO on a non-cable subscribed kind of method, you would have to, well, let's just say borrow a password from somebody that isn't using the HBO Go subscription service or HBO Go service that you get for free when you're subscribed to HBO on, Comcast or Time Warner or whatever else. Now, for only $14.99, anybody owning an Apple TV and in the future other Apple devices will be able to watch all HBO content, including past, present, and future shows, and possibly boxing pay-per-view as well too. So I don't know if that would mean that you'd have to pay extra for that or not, but that is pretty damn spectacular. The launch is going to happen coincidentally at the same time that around the same time that it's going to launch their new season of Game of Thrones, a show that I still have not watched, but I really, really want to. And other I guess other providers like Android and the Microsoft Xbox One and the PlayStation, they're going to get their apps later on. This is exclusive to the Apple TV, iPad, and iPhone, and I'm assuming iPod touches, and also their website. If you can, from what I've heard, you can still use HBO Now through the web, but I think you might have to use Safari. But there is actually Safari for Windows if you're not aware of that, so you can still kind of get around that to a certain degree. $15 a month, though, guys. In retrospect, it's the same amount that you would pay Comcast to add HBO to your cable package. But for those people that aren't even paying for a cable package, this is actually a really pretty good start to the service. Now, we're going to talk about the difference in similarities between this and HBO Go, or lack thereof. But the thing is, HBO Go had issues last year because a lot of people were bogging down the server, especially with the premiere of Game of Thrones, and people were getting booted off, or there was a bunch of latency, buffering issues. What HBO Now is using is the same method of technology that the MLB uses. MLB uses their own kind of streaming service that they own under a subsidiary called MLB Media Stream or something like that. And HBO is using it now. The WWE uses it, and a bunch of other companies use it as well. And this MLB streaming service has most of the time have proven to be more superior to other streaming services, and it's really about checks and balances between your AWS servers with Amazon and whoever else. I don't know if they use Akamai or not, but I think it's really just Amazon. But I'm very hopeful for this. I don't know if I'm personally going to sign up. As much as I really want to watch Game of Thrones, $15 a month for me, I could definitely use that toward other uses because I just don't have enough time to watch all the Netflix stuff and all the HBO stuff. But I'm going to pass it off to you guys, and instead of going to Sean, I'm going to go to Andrew. Because, Andrew, your lifestyle doesn't necessarily have you sitting down in front of a TV for, until like 3 in the morning. Unless it's some good-ass anime. But
yeah.
But for 15, I don't know if you guys subscribe to HBO Now or HBO at the moment, but
No. Currently,
presently. Mm-hmm. But with this, between you and the other roommates that you have, breaking it up, was it $5 each? Is that something that maybe you could argue?
Possible. It's definitely. I mean, the thing is that 14 is kind of that sweet spot. I mean, if you go any cheaper, that means you got to sacrifice something. I would imagine on the service side, and we've definitely seen that with Sony as an example. But I was going to ask you, just kind of not necessarily take a jab in there, but just kind of reiterate a little bit. But isn't HBO Go kind of more of a Comcast thing, anyways? Prior to us going into sort of HBO Now.
What do you mean?
Just to use HBO Go, you had to have like a Comcast account?
Well, no. You don't have to have in essence, you would have just an HBO account, I'm assuming. You do bring up a good point. To use HBO Go, you have to prove that you have Comcast, you have Time Warner, you have Cox Cable, you have any of these other cable providers. And that actually was brought up last week because on the PS4, if you have a Comcast subscription, if you're a part of Comcast, you cannot use HBO Go. So this is your solution, I guess, in the future for you PS4 owners. But yeah, you're not going to have to prove you have a subscription to Comcast or anything. You just have a subscription specifically for HBO now.
Do it now.
Do it now. Sean?
So, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Definitely.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah, and they're giving a free month for Apple users. I don't know if they're going to extend that free month for other platforms when they finally arrive on the other platforms, but that might be your time to really do a serious binge watch of all those really great shows I keep hearing about, like obviously Game of Thrones. Also, Veep is getting real good acclamations, as well as Silicon Valley. Everyone tells me about Silicon Valley. I'm like, I want to, but Sean.
Seems cool. Happy they're doing it. $15 is just over the mass like price, but just above the mass price, but just below the has too expensive price. So they're right where they need to be. They could share it with other people. Seems fair. By the way, HBO for me I do have HBO. HBO is $10 a month for me. So it's slightly more expensive than it is the deal that they give with Comcast, but at the same time, I pay Comcast a lot more money to get the rest of the channels and all that. Turns out I actually don't use HBO. I'm just haven't gotten rid of it yet. I actually just need to call them and say, I don't need this. Not because I want to get it through any one of the services, that I just don't watch Game of Thrones. Yes, people, yes, I've said it. I know it's blasphemy, but yes, I said it. I do not watch Game of Thrones or any of them yet. So I don't watch too much HBO, so to me there's no value, but at the same time, it's an option. Suddenly if I start watching it and I get hooked on Game of Thrones, I can go ahead and buy it, enjoy it for binge watch the crap out of it for an entire month or 2 months or 3 months, however long I want. If I say I'm over it, then I just stop subscribing. If I say I want to continue on, I'll just keep subscribing. It's a great service. It's good to have the option. Now, like I said, this is not going to be the cheapest solution. I was very open when I was saying I wish we had more a la carte things like this. This is far from the cheapest solution, but it's available if you don't want all the other garbage and you just want one. Boom, here it is. It's available for you. Have fun.
Yeah, so I don't want to bog down on this topic because we have a crap ton of other stuff to talk about. But we're adding up all these streaming solutions. We've got HBO now for $15. There's Netflix for what is it? What is Netflix now? Is it like the base price $10? $10?
Well, I'm still at $8, but $10 is where we're at now for the new.
Okay, so that's $25, and then if you want Hulu Plus, that's another $8. If you want the new Dish Sling TV, that's another $20-some. It's almost the same price as just getting cable. And is that a good thing because we do have the choice to say no Hulu Plus, or is it like is it getting to the point of there's not that much of a difference because all these other especially with Comcast, you have on demand, you have all these past shows that you can watch and everything. Are we coming to a point where they're kind of blending into each other, and maybe cable is just going to hope that people realize that, instead of spending money in like 4 different places, they can just come back to Comcast and get the same content for maybe a little bit more or even a little bit less?
Well, that's kind of the whole idea of what they were supposed to be selling in the first place. Buy all the bundles, get these bundles, get these bundles, get a bundle, great. But when a bundle is the only option you have and you don't have individual options, the bundle loses all its credibility. If they offered all the channels individually, like up $5, $15, $10, $5, or you can bundle it and let people decide what they want to be, I guarantee none of this argument would have been around and it wouldn't have gone on as long as it had. But that's my 2 cents on that.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So let's go on. What else did they talk about?
Yeah. So like I said, they announced some other things. The next big announcement was the rumored 12-inch MacBook, which actually is. It's only 2 pounds. I forget the actual millimeter thickness, but it's actually thinner than a MacBook Air, lighter than a MacBook Air. Has an amazing Retina display. 2304 by 1440, a gigahertz processor with 256 gigabytes of a solid-state drive, and there's also a higher rate speed for with a 512 gigabyte solid-state drive, and they're both running an Intel Core M processor, which, for all you Intel guys out there, it is a Broadwell processor, and in regards to how fast it is, it's not faster than an i5, and it's not faster than an i7. Well, that goes without saying. But and as you mentioned earlier, Sean, this is not a Pro, so I guess you could maybe get away with some video editing, but not like heavy video editing.
Mhm.
They promise about 9 to 10 hours of battery life. It's not a touchscreen, but they do have an integrated graphics card, 5300 GPU. And there's a picture that Phil Schiller has right there. So on the left is the MacBook Air, and then on the right is the MacBook. Now, one new innovation that they talked about in heavy detail was the keyboard. Keyboard is a lot thinner now, and they use a butterfly mechanism. So even when you're hitting the keys at an angle, the whole key gets depressed. Not that it gets sad, but the whole key goes down, so you have more accuracy when you're typing. Plus, the trackpad has this technology called Force Touch. Now, you don't have to be a Jedi to use it, but the idea is that when you're using it, you know, sometimes when you click the mouse and you click it harder, just a psychological thing, because you think that, you know, clicking it harder will make the link, actually do something. Well, with this one, it will. When you force click a word, it will give you the definition of said word, and a few other things as well too. So I don't know the exact parameters of what the Force Touch does, but it's a little bit more interactivity with the content that you are viewing, specifically on the internet. And then they also talked about the two new things that people were very interested about. Well, one of which I'll get to those things in a second. One of which is right here on the left is the Usbc connector. Now, up until now, we have USB 3.0, we've got Thunderbolt, we've got HD video out. We've got a bunch of ports, and Apple's mentality was, why do we have so many ports? We really just need one port to rule them all. And the USB-C port will not only allow you to power your device, but it will also allow you to connect to other peripherals like printers and external hard drives and things of that nature. But it will also allow you to, with the proper adapter, which is about $79, allow you to connect directly to a separate monitor. Now that adapter, for those who don't know, if you look on the Apple website, it goes into the port and then it springs off into 3 separate plugs, and one of those plugs is a USB-C plug, so you can still charge the MacBook, and then there's the HDMI plug and a USB 3.0 plug. So it's becoming to the part where I'm at with my Surface. My Surface has one USB drive and a HD video output. And with the single one USB drive, I do find myself having to bring a hub with me and a bunch of adapters, and I deal with it, but this is going to be more trying for a lot of people, I think, because they're not used to having to bring all these adapters for just one computer. And Andrew, I know it doesn't show on this video, but yes, there is a headphone jack on the right side, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Now, as I mentioned up here, that I said I would talk about, these 6 quadrants here, the black things, those are batteries, and the battery is the new proprietary terraced battery that Apple is attempting to take advantage of all the tiny spaces that usually are left out with a standard size battery. So every kind of nook and cranny that they can fit, this lithium battery in, they're doing it, and it definitely is very proprietary, Sean. So I don't know how much they're going to cost to replace it, but in a couple of years when you're going to have to replace it, maybe there'll be some off-brand markets batteries by then, but it's probably going to cost a pretty penny. And then the other thing that was really interesting is, as you can see there, this motherboard the basically the brain of the computer. This is on a MacBook, and it's obviously too big for this new MacBook. Or rather, it's on a MacBook Pro. So they made it 60% smaller to fit in this tiny chassis. So very impressive with the miniaturization that they were able to do with a lot of the technology that we have today. And like I mentioned earlier, the screen is gorgeous. One of the people at the event actually thought it was a touchscreen as well, which is kind of funny. And Andrew, you made a comment pre-show that you thought that was interesting that Apple hasn't kind of taken the bait that touchscreen laptops are the way that things are going, especially in the Windows ecosystem. But Apple still seems to think the whole Gorilla Arm thing is not really very akin to what they are trying to portray with their products. This upgrade is kind of a sideways step. I mean, it's beautiful, it's small, it's thin, but it doesn't. And I get that it's not an entry-level MacBook. Well, I guess it could be, but it's not a Pro. So there were a lot of comparisons of this MacBook to the Surface Pro 3, and you know how I feel about the Surface Pro 3. And as much as I really do like the MacBook, it doesn't really bring a lot to light that why do I need this? I mean, that's just my interpretation of or my opinion of what I've seen, and I love Mac products, and if I could afford them, I would totally have them as well as Windows products. But this particular one, you know, the amount of money that you're spending, $1,500 or $1,600 for the 500 gigabyte solid-state drive, for that amount of money, I could buy a pretty good iMac, if I'm not mistaken. I could be. I don't even know the prices on other Mac products, but is this Apple attempting to kind of get into the low end of the high end market with more Ultrabook-esque kind of products? Do you think?
Seems so. I mean, the specs kind of lean that way, anyways. But since it's Apple, the price doesn't kind of just throws people off.
No, dude, it's a MacBook. MacBooks, look, when they first released the first MacBooks, they were $11.99. Then they slowly came down to $10.99. Then they had two models that were $11.99 and one that was $9.99. Then they released another $11.99. They continually sell these laptops at around this point. They're not the Pro version. That's why they're not called MacBook Pros. Hence why the Pros cost $2,000 to $2,500 plus. No, this is your student level, entry level way of getting a Mac. You're right, the cost is more than you'll get on an iMac, but you know what? This is that entry level one. They introduced it around March, so they're shipping now. Kind of interesting. I guess maybe they're doing for summer. I think in the past they introduced it slightly before school time, or maybe in the late summer, saying, "Oh, by the way, y'all, new kids, guess what? I know you're going back to school. New MacBooks. Check them out."
I've been seeing a lot of back to school sales. Like, what do you mean back to school? Like, okay, I guess if you have spring break, if I remember what that used to be, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so, but that's kind of what they're aiming for with this device, and just like people, just younger folks who want smaller Macs. And remember, Macs do have the added advantage of being able for you to buy a full license of Windows and install it on there, so you can run it as a PC and a Mac, dual boot or in parallel, so you can do either or. So it kind of gives you an advantage of that. You just have to buy the Windows license if you wanted to do that. Anyway, all right, other things that happen. Apple in research. Apple actually has, well, in part of the announcement for the iWatch, they have a lot of the medical things going on where they're supposed to help read your heart rate and a lot of other things beyond that. And part of to make all this work is they have, well, this thing called Research Kit. It is an entire SDK to help out. Now, Tony, a little bit more, would you be able to go into a little bit more detail about exactly what it is and the big surprise about this that could make this like a really huge deal?
Yeah, so Apple is these days is very into being more proactive when it comes to medical, medical tracking. Making sure that their users are aware of everything that is going on in their body, and they can collect all the data that needs to be collected before they go to the doctor, and also to make an educated guess as to maybe what's going on with them. Plus, all this information can be procured by their doctor, so they can have info that is a more daily activity log of what is happening with the customer. Because as the representative was talking about on stage, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I can count the amount of times I've personally been to the doctor on one hand in the past 4 years. And that's my own fault, but that is kind of the trend of the general American populace, specifically because, you know, costs, insurance, or lack thereof, you know, and, you know, you can say what you want about Obamacare, but, you know, that is attempting to allow people to get medical help a little bit more often, or, you know, at a cheaper level. But even with that being said, doctors are only seeing people once every 6 months, and in between them, they might only see them once because they have a medical emergency, but not a day-to-day activity log. So with ResearchKit, combined with the brilliant minds of research groups around the world, like the Mayo Clinic and, you know, Harvard Labs and all these other very, very smart individuals and groups, they've come up with a number of free applications that are actually available now to download for iOS devices. And these are things that everybody can do every day. So here's an example of the asthma application, and it was actually developed by the Mount Sinai Hospital and the Weill Cornell Medical College. And I mean, essentially what you would do with the asthma one is that you would actually download the app, sign in and everything, and you would actually you know, blow into the microphone of your iPhone, and based off your, you know, rate of your breath and things like that, they would be able to tell, you know, if maybe that you have, you know, the, you know, symptoms of, you know, asthmatic individuals. They also showed off some other applications, like there's a breast cancer application. I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but, you know, if you have breast cancer or you want to check if you have breast cancer, that application would help you in that. A diabetes application, Parkinson's disease, cardiovascular disease. One application they were talking about was, I'm assuming it might be associated with the Parkinson's disease application. You would be able to tap the screen with 2 fingers. So you would just go tap, 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 tap on the screen, and again, based off the rate of your tap, they can kind of, on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, see how you're gradually getting better or getting worse. And, you know, Parkinson's disease can hit people as young as, you know, even 30. So this is really awesome that they're doing this, and in conjunction with all these other medical facilities that are out there. Now, what Sean was alluding to was that this is not only going to be an Apple product, this is open source. The words open source and Apple are very rarely used in the same sentence, unless it's Apple is not open source. Mm-hmm. But in this regard, it's a very positive thing that what Apple is doing. They're not necessarily trying to keep these apps and these partnerships within their walled garden. They're realizing that, you know, for the good of the many, you know, they're doing this for whoever wants to take advantage of the APIs. Sean, as you mentioned, these apps are available to download with the new iOS 8.2 that came out yesterday. And a lot of these applications are going to be incrementally better with the addition of the Apple Watch, which we'll talk about next. But you know, Google kind of attempted to do this. Well, not this specifically, but Google is attempting to get into medical opinions and not really like prescriptions or determinations, but, you know, when you look up influenza on a Google search, it'll give you all the symptoms and how to fight it and what you should do and how many people are affected by it each year, things like that. This is a little bit more proactive, I think, and this was one of the things that I wrote in my article that I felt that is a really standout feature that Apple is doing, that they're integrating with their Apple Watch. But the fact that it is open source means that pretty much anybody out there, even Google, could integrate it with their ecosystem as well too. So good on Apple for doing this, I think.
Awesome. All right. Now we are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about the Apple Watch. Haha. I tell you. Haha. There you go. At least I corrected myself instantly before anyone jumped on me.
Emails were starting to flood in, and then they hit delete because you corrected yourself.
Yo, they're like, "How dare you?" Never mind. Anyway,
no, when I'm listening to other podcasts sometimes, and they say something wrong or they say a wrong name, I'm driving usually. I'm like, "No, you're wrong," and I'm holding my phone and doing like voice to text about on Twitter. It's like, "I'm telling you, you're wrong," and stuff like that. I'm so bad. But I'm voice texting. I'm voice texting. It's okay.
I think it like you're not right about that.
I'm giving them more info that they need. I'm helping them.
They've already recorded. It's over. Anyway, so let's take a quick break here. Let's thank our sponsor, which is Audible.com. Audible.com, we want you to go ahead and check out this website and use this URL right here. It's audibletrial.com/lazy. Use that URL and you will get 30 days, 30 actual full days to check out their audiobook service. Now, with that, you get a free book in the deal, so you get a chance to listen to it. It's like a demo or something, but it's not a demo. It's a free book, fully functioning. You get to keep the book. So it is your book. And after that, you get to browse through all the new releases and biggest sellers, all these professionally read books that in almost every type of genre you can imagine. We're talking about children's books. We're talking about fiction and non-fictions. We're talking about biographies. We're talking about the latest action novels. We're talking about everything you can imagine. It's all in there. 150,000 books to choose from and more. So Amazon, audibletrial.com/lazy. Use that URL, audibletrial.com/lazy. Sign up, get all those benefits I just spoke about, and enjoy an audiobook service. And when you stay a member, you get discounts and more. So audibletrial.com/lazy. Now, we were late, unfortunately. We started this show off a little late, and I had a feeling that if I had the correct time, I don't know, like a Mickey Mouse watch or something, then I could probably know what time we would have started, and we would have started promptly at 11 o'clock today. But no, I was late. Tony, was there anything that any company at all announced recently that might have helped out in any way whatsoever?
Yeah, Pebble announced their Pebble Time.
Perfect. I can't wait to get it.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Can't wait to get it. It's gonna be great.
Looks like a Fisher-Price watch, if you ask me. But
yeah, but
more
you don't
importantly,
like it, dude. I don't know why you hate it so much, bro. You really do not like that watch.
I do not like it. I'm sorry. I want to support them because I supported them from the beginning, but it's so ugly. But I would say not the Pebble, but I would say one watch that visually is very nice looking. Obviously, is of course the Apple Watch. So yesterday at their Spring Forward event, Apple finally announced the Apple Watch and all of its pricing. Now, we already knew about the Apple Watch since 6 months ago, but today they gave us a little bit more insight as to what the Apple Watch is going to bring, and more importantly, the prices. So let's go over the prices real quick, because a lot of people were dwelling on that. For the Sport, depending on the band, the thin or the larger one, it's going to be $349 or $399. The Apple Watch, which is a more metal band, is going to be between $549 and a metal hardcore price of $1,000 and $1,099. And then the overachievers out there, sorry, I called you all that, but the Apple Watch Edition, or the Edition Apple Watch, or just the Edition, it's kind of like Share, that's right, you just got to say one name, just the Edition, is going to range between $10,000 and all the way up to $17,000. Now, all these watches pretty much do the exact same thing. What you're paying for are the different band styles and then the actual, the chassis of the watches themselves, because, as y'all know, the Edition watches will come in the 18-karat gold, and that's why they're so expensive. Now, what the watch does, like I had mentioned before, that's not the watch, these are the watches. Like I had mentioned before, what the watch does, you have notifications, you have messages. They also showed off that you can integrate Siri, which was something that they didn't show off last time. So you can actually verbally ask Siri, how did the Sharks do against the Penguins? And Siri at this moment doesn't speak back to you, but it does show up on the watch. It will show up with the different sports scores and stats and things like that. And then the other nice thing too is that it, in a sense, very similar to how Siri works on the phone. Like if you were to say, Siri, what is the closest Olive Garden to me, where I'm at right now, and it'll show you a map of the Olive Garden in Vallejo, and then you can say, okay, call them so I can make a reservation. And Siri knows when you say call them, it means that you want to call the Olive Garden, not your contact them. So that is really cool that they've done that. I know Google's done that with Google Now to a certain degree. It's not perfect, but it was really nice to see that demonstration. Also, you can have your boarding pass. You can send messages to other Apple Watch owners. And so if you want to send not just a message like a text message, but a drawing message. So however that you draw a flower to somebody, that exact motion is going to show up on that other person's Apple Watch. So if you make a mistake, they're going to see the mistake. They're going to see everything, and then it kind of fades away. It can just dissolves into nothingness.
Your mistake just goes away.
Goes away. You have a bunch of other. Here's the 18-karat 33 millimeter band. Yeah, okay. You have, let me just take off the screen share. You have the ability to, and there is actually a number of applications that are going to be supported at launch, including, here's the list of apps. Target, SBG, Nike, Run, Instagram. The Instagram feed I thought was interesting because there are some times where I need 2 minutes to kill, and I'll pull my phone out and I'll just go through my Instagram feed. I'm not looking to comment. I'm just looking to see different pictures and double tap to like the picture or not. And the ability to do that on the phone, or rather on the watch, does seem to be kind of a nice convenience. But at the same time, you could just pull your phone out and do it on the phone. But the BMW iRemote, that's actually pretty cool. They also showed off the ability. I'm not sure which app it was. This is the whole list of apps. The demonstrator showed off the ability that he could actually, from his watch, see a remote video of his garage and open his garage right from his watch, because his wife and his kids were on their way home. They forgot their keys inside. So that is actually pretty cool. Now we were talking about the battery pre-show, and I know I really hit hard on the battery, but apparently the battery is going to be an all-day battery, about 18 hours a day on a single charge, and the way that they break that up is essentially 3 hours of phone use, six and a half hours of listening to music, and 7 hours of working out. So it tracks your steps, your heart rate, as well as your calorie count and things of that nature. The battery is replaceable. So for you $17,000 watch buyers, in a couple of years you will be able to replace the battery. More than likely you'll probably want to take it back to an Apple store, but if you can spend $17,000 on a watch, you don't really care about who you're, having to go back to the Apple Store to replace it. Excuse me. So all in all, they didn't really necessarily show off, except for the home automation and the integration of Research Kit that we talked about earlier. They didn't necessarily show off anything that was particularly groundbreaking. The way that I saw this was really more of an iPhone, an accessory to the iPhone, just another reason to buy an iPhone, which in itself is not a bad thing, because right now, if you buy an Android phone, you don't go into a store to buy an Android Wear watch and then realize, oh, I should buy an Android phone. Why the hell not? you go to the store to buy an Android phone, and then one of the sales reps or the beautiful display kind of convinces you to buy an Android Wear watch, because really up until now it's really us geeks that know about the Android Wear stuff. But with Apple, people are going to go into their stores and see this gorgeous display of these 18 karat gold watches and blah 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 blah. It's like, man, I'm on the wrong ecosystem. I need to buy an iPhone so I can use this. So I get that. That's really going to help the growth out there. And with that, the watch is starting pre-orders on April 10th, and it will be on sale in 9 countries on April 24th. So April 10th, you can go ahead and pre-order from there. But I wrote an article on LazyTechGuys.com, and I said that the watch didn't amaze me. And the reason why I wrote that was really, whoever's reading it, what I mean is I was kind of hoping at this early stage, and I know maybe I was putting too much on Apple's shoulders, but hey, $700 billion in the bank, you can kind of push through. There wasn't anything innovative about it. I don't know what I'm looking for. I guess the only demo was the home automation thing. And that was really about it. A lot of these things that are being done on the watch can be done on the phone. And for those out there say, well, Tony, that's the whole thing about Android Wear. I know. That's kind of why when I returned my Android Wear watch, I didn't feel empty. I know I'm still going to get an Android Wear watch just because I really do think that like the Moto 360 is a gorgeous watch. And I love watches. I have 20 watches, so I'm the wrong person to ask about watches because I'm going to tell you to go buy a watch. But right now, no smartwatch really does anything that's amazing. They do things that are convenient, but it's not amazing. So, and I know the two of you are also not in the camp of I'm going to run out on April 24th to buy one. But in a year,
the pre-order date, or it is coming out.
The 10th is the pre-order date.
Got it. Okay.
But this was the same talk track with the iPad when it first came out. A lot of analysts were kind of poo-pooing it, and then the iPad did great. And then even back in 2007, even when the iPhone came out at first, a lot of users and a lot of other people running their BlackBerries and Palms were like, wow, you guys can't even do a mass text message? You guys can't even do copy and paste? What the heck are you doing with that iPhone? Look where the iPhone is today. So this being the first iteration, how soon do you think in a year we'll start to see some traction on this, like from the overall public buying, the consumers' buying desires, or is it going to be more of the app developers creating amazing applications that you can't find on any phone? You have to have this Apple iWatch. You have to have the Apple Watch in order for this experience to really, really work.
I think it's probably more of that second topic more than anything else. Because I mean, like you said, both Android and Apple, they both have things that you can pretty much do on the phone. So it pretty much almost negates the whole reason to have a wearable other than just for novelty's sake. So, I mean, yeah, probably within a 2-year span, but it's going to be more on the developer end than anything else for them to kind of create that drive for people to want to have these things that you can only do with a wearable. Like, I don't know, like a really good integrated voice messaging system that you could send. I mean, you already have apps like that, but I mean, to get a really decent one on the watch, kind of like, like those sci-fi movies that you see, that would be really great.
Actually, anytime someone says that, a lot of people refer back to Dick Tracy. I think of Penny from Inspector Gadget. Right?
No, I always think of Dick Tracy.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Well, I mean, just throw that as an example.
I thought you were in my camp, Sean. Thanks.
No,
whatever.
Or even like those little tracking thingies that you see in like James Bond or something. That's kind of cool too. But I mean, just to throw that out there.
Man here, I know that stuff.
I mean, just the thing is, it's like you said.
You don't know James Bond?
Well, I mean, it's not even necessarily that it's not innovative. It's just there's it's kind of the same issue that we had the last time that we kind of brought this up. It's more of the practicality. They have to kind of give us that practicality of buying these things so that we can kind of integrate them to our day-to-day lives. Right now, there's really no reason.
Yeah,
Well,
and
well,
that was
they
the
did
thing about the iPad too. There was really no
Mhm.
reason for the iPad to exist, but people bought it, and it was a runaway hit with this basic, in essence, a larger iPhone and iPod Touch that developers found a use to with that extra real estate, and we as the consumers.
Mhm.
I don't know if we sold ourselves or if there really was an amazing app, whether it would have been a gaming app that really made it a runaway hit. I don't really know what kicked it off, but whatever it is, that's what we need with the Apple Watch. We need a runaway hit, I guess, from the app developers. John?
Well, I don't know. Apple's got it. They're gonna support it as long as they have some cool things on it and people find it useful. I think the usefulness is the key. Not necessarily they don't need a runaway hit. They just need to have useful things that people want to have it with for. And if people have it and people see you going around the town, they're like, oh, let me do this, and they're doing very convenient things where it's not out of the way and it's not like pompous and it's not like I'm showing off, but it really is making people's life convenient. Other folks will catch on pretty quick and they will just sell more of them. And then Android manufacturers and Android watches will suddenly follow suit to realize, oh, these are the features that people really want. Apple will see, oh, these are the features that people really want from the complaints that they'll get and what then. And then probably after this big rush of units make it out on the market, depending on how many they sell, I have no idea what they're going to do. Depending on what happens on this, I would say in about 2 years, the watches, or whatever wearable watches or whatever they're going to be, are really going to nail what we need to do because that'll give Android enough time to catch up and give Apple enough time to work out their kinks, get through all their open source, and get to the second iteration of the watch when they fix all the sensors that they didn't realize needed to be a certain way.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because apparently there's a rumor that Android Wear will actually support iOS, and they're going to talk about it at Google I/O later on this year. One thing that I was kind of hoping about was, you know how the Apple Watch supports Apple Pay, and the way that it supports Apple Pay is that there's an NFC chip, I'm assuming, in the actual watch itself, and you can just place the watch on the NFC reader of the cash register, and bleep, you're done. Excuse me. I was kind of hoping that the watch itself would kind of be a method of two-factor authentication because last week there were some reports that people were stealing a bunch of credit card numbers and they were able to add those credit card numbers to their own personal iPhones, walk into an Apple store, buy a bunch of Apple stuff, and then just use their own fingerprint with somebody else's credit card and walk out with like $4,000 worth of stuff, because the idea of Apple Pay is that it's completely secure under the assumption that you are using your own credit card. If someone's stolen your credit card from some other list that's in the dark webs, and it's still valid, there's really nothing that you can do unless you have some sort of two-factor authentication either on the side of the bank, like if the bank says, hey, did you activate this card on this other iPhone? You say no. So if they do that, that's great. But what I was thinking that it would somehow be integrated in like the two-factor authentication with the watch. Like as long as the watch that you own is connected to your iPhone, that is the only way that that particular credit card can be used. Maybe they'll do that in the future. Maybe they're listening to me right now and they're writing notes because I think that's a pretty damn good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tentative to see how much this is actually going to really impact people's buying decisions, because I know Apple and their tablets, just tablets in general, people are not buying tablets right now because tablets last. They last for a long time, and then we're getting these Windows devices that are like 2-in-1s and things like that, But so Apple is looking for another vertical to kind of really hit home with. And the consumer side of it, I don't know how many people are looking to wear watches anymore, because I'm definitely in the minority of liking watches. But with the Apple innovation behind it, maybe as time moves on, we'll see in less than a year something really amazing happen in this ecosystem with Apple, and then Android and whoever else, Microsoft or whatever, maybe get inspired by it or copy it or whatever you want to call it, and we'll continue the innovation, that the same war that we've had with the overall operating systems.
I think it's a friendly war. I'm just kidding. Well, I'm just saying, a couple of years we'll see what happens. I'm very interested. My biggest thing is this: if they can make them useful, they'll start selling some units and people will start wearing some watches. And by the way, today I was walking around, saw a kid. He had to have been like, I don't know, 17 years old, and I looked down, and was like, "It's a pretty nice watch you got there." Wearing a really big time, super proof, everything proof watch. Waterproof, mega proof, lightning proof. Yeah, but they're still around. People are doing it. Anyway, all right, so that's a lot of Apple news. We're going to go ahead and try to un-Apple ourselves a little bit here, talk a little bit about a couple other things that happened this week. One little thing, former Google executive is actually going to lead the U.S. Patent Office. This is an interesting thing.
Yeah, we haven't had anybody leading that position for the last 2 years. So it leads me to
so
wonder.
This is the sucker that took the job.
Who's approving all these patents then? Do they not need a head to approve? I don't know, but
an intern.
Yeah, Michelle Lee was appointed, I guess, by the Senate to take hold of this position, and she was actually the former Deputy General Counsel and Head of Patent and Patent Strategy at Google. Now, if that's not a long title on your business card, I don't know what is. She actually was. She started with the agency in 2012 as the first director of the Patent Office in Silicon Valley's Outpost, and now this is going to be an interesting set of events because patents, it doesn't obviously it's not just technology, but there's so much technology patents that the patent law in general is just broken. And I say that kind of very overbearing, and it's kind of vague, but there's a lot of problems with patent law where there are laws in place that haven't been changed since like the mid 1800s, but they're still being enforced. And there's questions about patents versus trademarks. When does something go into not eminent domain, but what's it called, Sean? Where it's
limbo. I don't know.
No, where it's like you don't have to pay someone royalties anymore.
I forgot what it's called, dude. I'm sorry. Public domain.
Public domain. Thank you. When something's public domain. So this is gonna. I don't know if this is gonna be good, but it's going to be a thing, and we'll see in a couple of years if this is helping or hurting or not doing anything for the overall patent system here in the United States.
Well, my big question is, if she used to work for Google in the patent thing, you don't think that's going to cause any friction between anybody else in the patents, like Samsung or Apple or anyone else who had problems with Google and patents that she probably would have been involved with on the Google side?
Oh, I don't think anybody that you hire that has interest from their past employers is going to have some sort of connection, and people are going to say, "Oh, you used to work for."
Yeah, you used to do it with Tom. We talked about Tom Wheeler that way.
We talked about Tom Wheeler that way, yeah. And
then he got a lot of pressure to change his mind.
Yeah.
It took a lot of nudging.
Yeah. Who knows? He still might be in their back pockets, but
exactly.
Whatever.
New Android, bro. What do we got?
Yeah, so Android 5.1 rolls out today. Nice thing about it, it actually officially supports dual SIM support. It'll support HD video. HD video essentially is video over LTE, and device protection. Now, device protection, what this means is that even if you factory reset the device and I sell it to you, Sean, you turn on the device, it'll still ask for my password. So this is very much in line of what Apple is doing with their protection on their iPhones, where that even if the iPhone itself is wiped clean and everything, if they've implemented the additional security selection where they have to type in a password to unlock it, even if after it's been wiped, then you can't use it. That method of securing the device has actually cut crime rate by 50% in London of iPhone thefts. And in New York, it's like cut by, I think, like 40% as well too. That's a huge number, considering how many iPhones are out there. So, being that Google is doing this on an operating system level is really cool. I hope it works as promised. And I think the first phone to get this is going to be the Nexus 6 and the Nexus 9, and then obviously other Nexuses are going to get it as well too, like the Nexus 4 and the Nexus 5. This is going to be hard though, especially for people like me who have a Samsung device on Verizon, and they haven't even upgraded me to Lollipop, and to get to Lollipop 5.1 might be another 6 months. So by that time I'll have two other phones. So anyways, this is cool. That's finally announced because there were phones popping up in the Philippines that had this already with the Android One program. So cool.
Awesome.
Now Google is also working on something that is becoming a very popular vertical in the last year or so, and that is virtual reality.
All right.
We saw. Okay.
I can do this if you like, man.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, this is right there. Give yourself take a drink of water. Relax. You're doing good, Tony. You're doing very good.
You don't have to say that stuff. Just talk.
Anyway, so Google is look like Google is investing in the virtual reality, just like Sony, Microsoft with their not virtual reality, their augmented reality. What is their thing called again? Something room.
HoloLens.
HoloLens, thank you. With their HoloLens technology, Oculus Rift, and the V that just came out with they just got announced with HTC and Valve. So it looks like it's being reported that Google is investing pretty heavily into it also, secretly on the back end. They are challenging, or supposed to be even heavier investment than what Facebook spent for Oculus, which was only $2 billion. This would it be? $2 billion. So there's not much known about the project, except for we know Google is taking it very, very seriously. They're investing a lot of money and time into it. They've already been working on previous projects, including all the internet projects and many other tech projects. Excuse me. Excuse me. And now it looks like VR is definitely within their reach. So we'll see what goes on. And as I choke here for a second.
Yeah, I mean Google kind of poked fun at VR last year with Cardboard, and then they took Cardboard more seriously, and then they went into this partnership with Mattel with the Viewmaster that's coming out later on this year for the holiday season. But the fact that they're working on like actual virtual reality isn't surprising. It's just going to be interesting, with all these companies gobbling up all these other companies and things like that. Google acquired not Leap Motion, but Magic Leap. It's going to be interesting to see what Google's interpretation of VR is, because right now, if Google's interpretation is Cardboard, then it's not really good virtual reality. Because when you're using Cardboard, it's cool, but you're looking at a screen. But from what I've heard for people that have actually tried the HTC Vive, you think you're there.
That's how real it's. That's how the Oculus is. That's how the Morpheus is.
That's what people have said that they've used the Oculus and Morpheus. They don't feel like that.
No, I've heard the complete opposite. But anyway, I don't know. I haven't tried it. I haven't tried any of them.
Yeah, neither have I. Neither have I. But whatever the case may be, it's going to come down to some groundbreaking technology with head tracking and things like that. Andrew, you're our gaming guy. Although you're not surrounded by VR headsets, is that something that excites you to be able to play, like, I don't know how you would play Final Fantasy in VR, but like Battlefield, for example?
I'll put it this way. I mean, we all
Warrior. See?
I'll put it this way. We all grew up with some sort of VR gaming in our lifetime. I went to the whole VR booth that they had at Santa Cruz. Okay. So this is like in its infancy, like N64 graphics, if you guys can comprehend that. So applying that to pretty much anything that has any sort of visual fidelity, whether it's gaming or movies for that matter, that's a big deal. I mean, I think Sean, didn't you make a comment back they were, or I think it was Tony, I'm not sure, but where I guess back, when we first heard about all this stuff, some people I guess interpreted that VR is dead. Why are they why are they beating a dead horse?
Who said VR is dead?
I can't remember exactly.
I did not see
No,
that.
here's my thing.
Okay.
Here's my thing about VR.
I think we read it somewhere. I know we had a big discussion about it, but I mean, the point is that it's definitely making a bigger impact than it did before. I mean, you can definitely see it, but where it's gonna go, it's kind of like.
Yeah. So my big thing about VR is this. So the point of the entire point of VR is to put yourself in a virtual world, and that is, from what I've read, all three of the systems are doing that correctly. And overall, I mean, that's pretty much the whole point. It's not augmented reality. You're in the world. Depending on how they program the demo, maybe you're only limited to do this. Maybe you can turn all the way around. I know that with the Oculus, they're still in a lot of the infancy stages. The latest version of this and the View both have technology that's going to allow you to read you no matter where you're, not View, the V is going to read you no matter where you go. Vive, yeah. So Vive. I know Vive. So they're using lasers or some kind of sensor that they're shooting out for the Vive to be able to read that. Sony
Lightroom, is it, or Lighthouse?
No. Yeah, Lighthouse. And Sony's using a bunch of lights all over the front and the back so that if you turn your head completely around, you'll still be read. So they're doing it that way. Either way, both of them are going to be able to read no matter where you are and in the room. It seems like there's some type of hand controller ideas that are coming out, at least for the Vive also. Of course, Sony has their Move controllers they're going to do, so they're going to allow you to give you some tactical feel. So the way I see it is simply this. Everyone plays video games for a different reason, but the biggest reason why you play video games is to escape where you are right now and to do something else. Whatever it is, you're doing something else. Sometimes some people like to do something simple, like play a game of Connect 4. That's fine. Easy, no problem. And if people don't know what Connect 4 is, come on. All right, so and other people want to completely go into new worlds. I want to go into the world of Mordor to enjoy the world of Lord of the Rings and battle orcs. I want to do that. And the way we've been doing it before is on the screen. There it is. I'm that little guy, and there's my orcs. I'm going to go ahead and take them down. Then we got 3D worlds. Now we start getting the worlds where we're trying to be more involved with this. If VR can pull off what it seems like it's possible able to, or at least what the technology is able to finally get to, and it actually literally takes it so your eyes are not your eyes outside the screen and you're looking at yourself in the screen, but your eyes are literally in the screen and you're able to look around and go, holy crap, there's that thing over there. There's that thing up there. Then you'll be fine. Now, side note, sorry to really do this to you, but you guys heard of this thing called porn, right? Yeah, porn. Heard of it? Yeah. All right, so there is a videos on YouTube that has I forget, it was like older folks watch experience VR porn for the first time, and teenagers, not teenagers, but like 20-year-olds also experience porn for the first time. So what they did is they gave everybody these VR kits and had them watch that. Some of the people were just like, whoa, that's just not for me. But some people were like, wow, that was amazing. So if you really think about that, and these are first generation ridiculous stupid porn things, but even the older guys a lot of the older folks were saying that was something else. And these are folks who grew up their whole lives hearing that this is probably going to happen and never saw it, and now they're experiencing it. It was like, wow, this is real. So I think they can pull this one off if done right, of course. And if
yeah, I mean, the kind of joke is, whatever platform porn really takes a hold of, that's what is really going to be the driving force behind it. I mean,
yeah,
looking back between VHS and beta.
But that's the joke. But in reality, it's more of how engulfed these people who had no interest in it, didn't even know anything. Hey, let's just try it out. Let me try this out. To get an experience of holy crap from the first time. I mean, none of us, when we experienced video games for the first time, we were all like, oh, that's cool. This is getting to that point way beyond with a Connect or what's weak and the Move controllers, and way beyond with all that crap. This is seems to be doing something. It hits more senses, and it hits our optical senses, our what we can hear, what we can see. You're really getting a lot more out of it. And when you got something that you could touch in there to give you a little tactical feedback, that's 3 out of our senses, guys. That's 3 out of 5. That's pretty good. That's how I think it really was going to sell if the experiences are really there. I'm actually for it. I actually hope it really does well. So anyway, sorry to talk very highly and positively about VR, guys. And I'm happy.
No, you were more talking about highly about porn, but that's okay.
No, it's not VR. No, one last thing. And since Google is getting involved with it, one of the first things that Sony said when they announced it, whatever last year, whenever they announced this, said they were getting a lot of calls from car companies and other companies like that who were suddenly very interested in VR. Then these companies also got interested in cardboard because, I could bring a way of someone sitting down in the car experience to someone's home. So now they could sit down in the car and it's like, this is what it's like to get it without even test driving the car. And experiences like that from like companies like Disney and all that are going to be huge, and they know that. And I would not be surprised if they start calling every VR company and they start jumping in with HTC and everybody saying, make our experience and we will build it and please, and it'll sell more tickets to our things because people can experience our stuff. I think it's huge. I think it could be very big, especially in the non-gaming world. So.
Yeah, well, the technology between Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk VR booth to now has gotten so much better thanks to the miniaturization of little transistors and diodes and motherboards, and just the screen qualities have gotten much better, and the graphics overall have gotten a ton better. So
I've been on the Santa Cruz VR. I gotta see this. I've never done it before.
This is like
this was like
back
in the 80s,
bro.
Yeah. I did
Max Headroom style.
It was all like polygons and things like that, but it looked cool, right? But my first experience of VR was in the London Trocadero, and I was in it was kind of like a demolition derby, and the idea was you were in a car and your car was supposed to hit this huge beach ball while avoiding the other cars. I was more elated that I thought that I was flying off the edge of this huge bowl that I was in, and I could look around and look up and look down, and I was actually seeing everything. Let alone that I walked out of there with a huge headache. I didn't care. I thought it was the coolest thing. And the fact that we've gotten to the point where we're getting to graphics that we look at graphics with Metal Gear Solid and Final Fantasy, and we see those graphics like, wow, that's so realistic. If I feel like I can actually touch that, with that combined with VR and other immersive experiences, sky's the limit is what could really happen. But yeah, I'm with you, Sean. I'm very excited because now the technology is there. Before it was a joke. We had Virtual Boy and polygons. Now we have real stuff. We have stuff that it could actually work out, not just for gaming, but for other things as well too. Great training tools, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And on that note, Sean, VR missions. If you don't get that nudge, I'm taking that card.
By the
away
way,
from you.
September. What day is Metal Gear Solid 5 come out? September what?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Exactly. All right. It looks like a security flaw has undermined Apple and Google users. What do we got going on here, man? Something to piss off the whole world, because you got to go ahead and end off,
So let's go ahead and end off on this. So there is a flaw called Freak, which stands for Factoring Attack on RSA export keys. Now this was an export grade encryption that was 512-bit encryption that was set at that rate back in the mid-90s during the crypto wars, because that was an algorithm that people thought, oh, it's very difficult to break this encryption. You need a bunch of computers and things like that. That was in the 90s. Nowadays, one computer is more powerful than a bunch of computers. And overall, the encryption itself is very weak. And for the most part, people aren't using that encryption, but a lot of browsers still support it. And the problem is hackers out there, and there hasn't been any I don't think there's been any kind of real-world situations, or rather examples of this being out there as a hack or anything like that. But this is a flaw. That's why they call it a flaw. It's not a hack. It's just a flaw in how in essence, how encryption is being used on a number of websites with particular browsers. And so the Chrome browser by itself actually is one browser that you can use that prevents against this. But if you're using Firefox or Safari, and now Microsoft is also being named as another company that that is vulnerable to these possible attacks with their Internet Explorer browser. We're essentially waiting on all the companies, Apple, Microsoft, to put patches in to prevent from future attacks on your systems. But let me just explain what could happen. You can just go to a website, any website, Facebook, let's just say, and you're going to Facebook, and it looks like you're going to Facebook because there's a little lock mechanism in the toolbar that says, okay, this is secure, this is a Facebook secure web page, and okay, cool, look, there's a band that I really like, and you click that like button. These hackers can overlay on the like button, and in essence, the fact that you click that, you've pretty much opened up a gateway for them into your whole computer system. So what you can do right now is you can either wait on these companies from upgrading their particular browsers, or you can use Chrome, like I mentioned. If you're using Android, use the Chrome browser. Do not use the Android browser. And what I mean by the Android browser, that's the browser that comes stock on your phone. Use the Chrome browser when you're doing things like banking or looking up reservation, anything that's personal of nature. But yeah, this is more of a kind of a PSA because this came out last week on Friday, and I think Microsoft is already pushing out an update. I know Apple's already pushed out an update, so we shouldn't really have anything major from it from here on out. But I think the bigger story is that this 512-bit encryption, majority of people forgot it even existed, and majority of people weren't even using it. But because it had this flaw that was, in essence, very weak and easy to break, these security analysts in France said, "Hey, what the hell? We'll just try and break it. Hey, that was pretty easy. Let's try break it over here. And let's try break it over here." And they realized, a huge amount of websites were using this encryption. So. Yeah, it's definitely good that these guys brought it to light, so we weren't in the fog, so to speak, that we could actually, be proactive in using the correct browser. I'm sure Google is very proud of themselves that they have one of the first browsers to prevent against this attack. As much as I really don't like Chrome right now, excuse me, but yeah, just be careful. That's all.
Be careful, everybody.
Yeah.
Still
oh yeah, and if you have some guy randomly call you on your phone saying that your computer is not secure, hang up on them, please. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I had them calling me. They had called me the other day. I'm like, really, dude?
Are you serious?
But they would not go away. I'm like, I'm hanging up. No. I'm like, anyway.
Yeah. I feel so bad.
No, don't. Let's do that again.
No, I feel bad on the people that are victimized by it, because they're like, oh no, I thought they were helping me, and now they're charging me more and more and more to get these viruses out. I'm like, they're the ones putting it there, but they said they were gonna fix me. They're not. Oh. All right. And that's it. That's the end of our show.
Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Hope you learned something, enjoyed it, had a couple things going on, and most important of all, I hope you enjoyed it. You're going to share it with your friends. Yeah. Anyway, let me go ahead and give you some contact information. Thank you for hanging out with us. Comments at lazytechguys.com. That is how you can email us. You can give us a call at area code 707-722-5299. Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Look up Lazy Tech Guys. You will find us on there. And our YouTube channel is called Lazy Tech TV. Also, website, lazytechguys.com. Please go ahead and visit us. We'd appreciate it. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, audible.com. audibletrial.com/lazy is the URL that you want to use to sign up and get 30 days to check out audible.com. So audibletrial.com/lazy. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with some more, gaming news, not really. Well, gaming news, tech news, mobile news, and more. Thank you for hanging out. We'll be back next week. Have a great time, and we're out. See you later. No peace, Tony?
Oh, I don't hear the music.
Oh,
Very soft.
there it is. Nope. No.
Peace.
That's all I need to know. See you guys later. See you later. Bye.